This is CityCast Twin Cities. I'm Sean McPherson, and here's what the cities are talking about. Tane, would you rather give up scarves or hats for the winter?
Scarves, you lose 80% of your body heat through your head is a statistic I just made up, but 100% true.
Dr. Loth, you're a doctor. Would you rather give up scarves or hats for the winter?
Scarves, for sure.
Practical Minnesotans there. That's Tane Danger, a CityCast contributor and the co-founder of Danger Boat Productions. And that's Dr. Katie Loth from the University of Minnesota Medical School. Today on CityCast, of course, we are talking about sides because it is the week of Thanksgiving. That also has us talking about how to navigate food conversations around the holidays, the importance of navigating all types of conversations around the holidays, where to find Thanksgiving meals, and also we're going to honor a musical legend from our scene who passed away this weekend. We like to do top fives on Tuesdays, and I want to get something out of the way. Turkey, like coleslaw, is no one's favorite food. I want you to envision a table replete with sides. And just imagine we have to take away all the sides until we're only left with 5. So put that in your brain, start rolling it around. But right now I want to share some notes from some listeners. These are from folks who subscribe to our newsletter. Join the conversation, chime in with us. It is a whole lot of fun. You can sign up for it over at twincities.citycast.fm. Davis in Northeast says his favorite side dish would be stuffing or dressing, as it was called by his grandma. Davis, I agree with you there. Davis did put a downvote in for cranberry sauce. He says it tastes like it is dehydrating me. And he said he's sorry, not sorry, Sean. Davis, I will make you sorry. Debbie's mom puts raisins in the stuffing. Debbie's mom is a criminal. And she said that after those raisins go in, the food tastes like robust autumn wood ticks. But thankfully, there are a lot of other things to be thankful for. Debbie, thank you for that image, and remind me to never accept any invitations from you that involve your mother's stuffing. And for Maggie, it's not up for debate. Green bean casserole is the elite side dish of Thanksgiving. All right, Katie, Tane Danger, have you had some time to think about some of your favorite sides so we can come to some sort of agreement on the top 5?
Stuffing is the answer. If I was just making the table, it would be 5 different kinds of stuffing on the side of the table.
What's your hill, Dr. Katie Loth? Like, what is the one you're really into?
Sweet potatoes. I've got to have like a sweet potato with all the nuts and, sugar and all of the stuff on top. So like a sweet potato casserole.
I have a great cranberry sauce recipe from Epicurious, and I think that cranberry sauce has to be on it, particularly because it is one of those things like stuffing that isn't available year-round. In fact, all the things we're talking about so far really only come up, at this time of year. That gives us 4: stuffing, sweet potatoes, cranberry sauce, green bean casserole, and I've heard nary a mention of mashed potatoes and gravy.
Right. I was going to say, that's kind of remarkable that we've gotten this far without much talk of potatoes and gravy, because that's, again, gravy is gravy.
Tane, I'm so glad we're paying you.
That is the kind of witty banter that you all hired me for this role. But nonetheless, I promise you, having said that, I teach theater things and I say there are no small parts. Gravy is not a small part. It is a central character in the story that we are telling. And I think it deserves one of these spots.
So stuffing, sweet potatoes, cranberry sauce, green bean casserole, mashed potatoes and gravy is our top 5. We just need to put it into some kind of order. So Tane, the last one sitting on your table as you take away sides is stuffing. Is that right?
100%.
Dr. Katie Loth, what are you keeping as your last side on your table?
Sweet potatoes.
Okay. I think I would keep mashed potatoes and gravy before I keep cranberry sauce, just because I love cranberry sauce, but I'd be very bummed out without mashed potatoes and gravy. Yeah. So that's number 3. So is 4 green bean casserole or cranberry sauce?
Maggie brought in green bean. I feel like we have to call Maggie. Can we get her on the line?
Yeah, I would put cranberries ahead of green beans, but I'm not Maggie, so I don't know.
I think that cranberries there's a lot of different things you can do with them. Also, the purple is a nice color that we need more of it on our plates.
Yeah.
Cranberries are red, bro. If you make good cranberry sauce, it's like maybe a slight vermilion. I'll give you vermilion. I'm not going to give you purple. It's not a purple food. But regardless, we've spent vastly more time defending cranberry sauce as three people who seem to like it. So without further ado, number one, stuffing. We're good with that. Number two, sweet potatoes, and they better be sweet or Dr. Loth is going to be very upset with you. Number three, mashed potatoes and gravy. Number four, purple cranberry sauce. And number five, purple green bean casserole. Is it a comfortable top five for everybody?
Yeah, it takes a long time to grow those purple green beans, but I think it's worth the years that you've spent genetically engineering them for the perfect Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, that has been a low-minded conversation about top five sides, and we're going to move into something slightly more serious, but something that I think you can be somewhat playful with, which is constructive food conversations, both at the holidays and also throughout the year. And our specialist for this section is Dr. Katie Loth, who is an associate professor at the University of Minnesota's Medical School. And Dr. Loth's research explores social and environmental influences on relationships with food. Dr. Katie Loth, you also have an MPH after your name. Are you a doctor of speed? What is the MPH for?
Masters of Public Health.
Oh, okay.
But I wish I was a doctor of speed. That sounds more fun.
Well, you know what? I think public health is actually very important. We're very thankful for the research you're doing, and especially to point us to this type of conversation during the holidays is really wonderful. Because the holidays, we all think they're going to be great, and then at some moment, they aren't. Somebody says something to you, or maybe doesn't say something to you, or comments on your plate full of stuffing, and your feelings spiral. And Dr. Loth, I want to get to that most difficult thing I can imagine, which is you have a family member that just judges your intake of food, your waistline, your appearance, your activity level, all those things. What do you recommend both during the actual experience and maybe in advance of the actual visit?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably in advance of the actual visit might be the most constructive place. I think it depends. Obviously, everyone has a different relationship with their family, but I think trying to the extent that you can, set a culture with your family about not talking about food and weight, in particular at meals. I mean, I would love to have no food or weight talk ever, but I think especially when you're sitting down to eat with people, it can be especially, triggering to have somebody bring up something about either what you're eating, weight, shape, size. And I think that happens a lot at the holidays.
What else should I not say or not get into? Are there lines I can draw for myself going into some of these conversations?
So not commenting on weight or shape. And I think a lot of times people do a good job of thinking about not commenting on weight or shape and what they think is as a negative way, mentioning weight gain, that kind of thing, but also making sure that you aren't bringing up weight loss, right? I think that's a big one where we might congratulate people for weight loss because we perceive it to be a positive thing or something they may have been working towards. We don't always know what somebody's experiencing, what they're going through. And also, you're not the only one, they're not the only one in the room with you. So other people are hearing that conversation. So that's another big one to think about.
Supposing there's somebody who's been working really hard for the past 12 months or perhaps even longer, and themselves are very personally proud of a visible weight loss. And maybe their biggest fear is that everyone at their Thanksgiving table has listened to this podcast and is not going to make a comment that maybe they really would like to hear, where somebody's going, oh, you are smaller. They're saying all these things that, Katie, I really kind of agree with you. I don't want to hear, but maybe they really do want to hear it. And it actually hurts them, the absence of those comments of positivity. What would you say to that person?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I try to think about are being able to comment to people about health and wellness, but keeping it separate from weight. And again, while it may be a conversation that person would really like to have with you, you aren't alone in the room with them. And there's so many other people that are hearing that conversation. And so I think when you're talking one-on-one with someone, it's okay to get into kind of like, how are you feeling and what's going on? You can kind of dig in further than just what you're seeing. So I think it's avoiding making comments and having conversations where you're making them just based on what you're seeing, and then also that influence of what other people might be hearing and not able to fully understand around you.
Okay, I've got a tricky one for you. So I have people in my life who I know, I've heard them do this before at a meal like Thanksgiving or another holiday thing, will eat a lot and then they will say, oh, I'm so fat. Like, oh, I really went too far or whatnot. hearing all these things you say, what do I say there, right? Like they're almost fishing for me, I feel like, in some ways to respond to that somehow. But now I'm lost, Dr. Loth. Help me. How do I respond to this person?
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on how well you know the person, for sure. And I think that can be really hard, where you're kind of everyone's going around the room complaining about some part of their body, and then it kind of gets to be your turn. I think one of the best things that you can do is not participate in the conversation. And by doing that, you're sort of modeling for them that that's not a conversation that you're interested in having. And you're modeling, again, I talk a lot about kids, but I think this is where they learn these things. And adults have a lot of opportunity to sort of sift through things on their own. But when kids are hearing these conversations, and if this is sometimes their first influence about how to think about bodies and weight, you're modeling for them that that's not something that you're going to talk about in public. And I think depending on how well you know the person, you might share that with them, right? You might share with them, like, these aren't conversations that I'm interested in having. This isn't something that I'm interested in engaging in. But I think that kind of depends on the dynamic in your family and how well you know the person.
I walk on this tightrope, Katie, in ways that are really difficult as a father, because I feel like I've finally in my adult life gained a lot of comfort with my body and the way I relate to food and the way I relate at social gatherings. I'm trying to show my daughters how comfortable I am with my body, even though the world is not often comfortable with my body, and also showing my daughters a very different level of comfort and confidence they can have in their bodies, even though I know that a lot of what they see on screens and even with other, family members and friends might be different than that. I don't think having it together yourself is enough ammunition to be helpful for your kids. What do you recommend for me?
I think first, congratulations on working through some of that stuff yourself.
Thank you.
Because I think it starts there, right? And then I think for me, one of the things that it really comes down to is sort of how you talk about these things in your home every day, right? Like Thanksgiving table, you're not going to be able to control everything that happens there. Or even, on TV, they go to a friend's house. There's a lot out in the world that you can't control, but what you can control is how you talk about these things in your house and sort of the expectations that you set and really naming it. Like, you're sitting with your daughters and you see something on TV where somebody's being shamed for the way they look or what they're eating, calling that out and pointing it out as something that you don't agree with. I'm not always comfortable doing that in public or at a family gathering if I don't want to, ruin Thanksgiving. But it's a conversation that I have with them when I get back home. Hey, when people were talking about that at the dinner table, that really made me feel uncomfortable and I didn't like how that went. And I want you to know that's how I felt. And these are the things, that might have brought up for you. So sometimes you can kind of shape that conversation differently depending on where it feels most comfortable to have it. Can I also shout out, I'm a member of a nonprofit organization called withall.org, and we do a lot of this work around how to teach parents. It's also for coaches, teachers, all adults that are sort of doctors in the lives of young people, thinking about how to teach them about having conversations like this in a way that's helpful and not harmful. So for more resources for you or anyone listening, that's a great website to visit.
Before we go, we've talked about a lot of things we shouldn't talk about. What should we do? What should we talk about, around some of this stuff at the table this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the table this week, what I love to promote people talking about is how people have been doing, what's been going on in their lives, the kinds of things that have been bringing them joy, the things that they're thankful for given the specific holiday that we're celebrating. And also, looking for ways to talk about food in ways that are about the connection that it brings, the joy that it brings, like sharing recipes, who made what do we like in terms of how it tastes. Another big thing that people talk about with Thanksgiving is kind of this idea of like a turkey trot, right? It's like getting out and running. And I do a turkey trot with my family. I love the turkey trot, the idea of getting out and doing something together. But I really try to separate that from like, we're running so that then we can eat, right? It's not about needing to move your body so that you deserve to eat or eating so much then you need to move. It's about finding joy in movement if that's something that you find joy in. You don't need to earn your food. Like, you deserve to eat, you deserve connection, and you deserve to kind of come together around that meal regardless of your weight and regardless of how much or little you've moved your body before you got there.
Dr. Katie Loth, it has been an honor to hang out with you, hear about your research, and also get some useful tools as we head into the holiday season. Thank you so much for joining CityCast.
Thank you for having me.
Tane, when things go left at the holiday table, I often think, I need a drink. I sometimes think, I need a break. I never think, I need a curriculum.
Why?
But here you are with a curriculum. So you are the co-founder of Danger Boat, which brings sort of the spirit of improvisation into different settings to try to figure out how to make things that don't work. And you made a curriculum called Constructive Dialogue for the Humphrey School, and it teaches students how to have good conversations with people whom they may disagree with or see the world differently. So yeah, maybe instead of reaching for that Jameson on Thursday, I can reach for this curriculum and figure out how to navigate some of these more difficult conversations. What made you want to develop this curriculum?
So I'll just say you don't have to choose. The curriculum goes great with Jameson.
Okay.
So the Humphrey School approached Danger Boat a while ago and said, we are training public policy students to go out and have really tough conversations about politics, about international affairs, union negotiations, whatever you like. And we need them to have both the actual policy skills to do that, but also the interpersonal skills. Like, how do you actually sit at a table with somebody who sees the world very differently than you do, or whose point of view is very different than your own, and have a good, constructive dialogue with that person? And so we helped create this curriculum that, as you said, brings some improv into that, some best practices from communication and policy work. And I'm here to tell you, Sean, if we can help people do international diplomacy, I believe that I can help you have a good Thanksgiving conversation as well.
Let's talk a little bit about the word constructive, though, because if I am sitting across from somebody I desperately disagree with politically, and our goal is to find something aligned politically, we need to have a constructive dialogue. If I am sitting across from somebody who I disagree with vehemently politically, but we are just trying to have a meal, maybe I just need to have dialogue, not constructive dialogue.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't need to bridge these gaps, and I rather just need to steer the conversation away. Because I just assume that some of these Hubert Humphrey folks, they actually need to get to the crux of the problem.
Yeah.
At the Thanksgiving table, aren't there some problems that are better to sort of gloss over? Or do you think you always got to get to the nut of the issue?
No. So this is great. You're diving right in. So if I've got tips for your Thanksgiving, I would say tip one is, you do not have to end up agreeing with this other person or them agreeing with you. And I think that actually, as soon as we let go of that need to feel like somebody is going to win this conversation one way or another, the better we can actually go into that dialogue. So going into things, curiosity first. Who is this other person? What do they think? Why do they think that? Start with that before you get to, am I going to be able to convince this person that we actually agree, or they're wrong, or I'm right, or whatever? And if you hold on to that curiosity piece, you're going to just have a better conversation. And it's also just going to be more pleasant. Now, the only other piece I just add to this, I don't think that means that then you're just glossing over things. I can ask somebody, okay, so you have really strong opinions about the recent mayoral elections in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Tell me more about that. I'm curious why you have those points of view. And I can ask questions and hopefully learn something from this other person without giving up my own point of view, but also without having to go into it in a place of like, and I need you to agree at the end, like that I'm right or that we agree on this thing. So curiosity first is my first thing.
Can you tell me about a moment where you've actually taken some of what you've designed or learned in making this curriculum and used it in the real world to navigate a potentially horrible conversation?
I was in a conversation actually just a week or so ago, and I heard somebody doing a thing that we see a lot and is part of the curriculum where we coach people something not to do, which is don't try and speak for other people. We will say, oh, you, Sean, of course you think that. You've already outed yourself here as somebody who loves cranberry sauce, and we're fighting about cranberry sauce, and so now I'm projecting onto you all of your cranberry sauce biases, and I'm very mad at you about this or whatever, rather than allowing the other person to speak. So I was in something just a week or so ago in a conversation. There was like 3 or 4 people, and somebody in this started doing this, saying, oh, everybody who is of this particular political persuasion, they all think like this. They don't care about X, Y, or Z issues. And they were doing a big blanket statement for a whole group of people, and A, speaking for them, and B, doing a big blanket statement for everybody. both things that really kind of drive everybody nuts when you do it to them. So in that conversation, I then tried to steer it back and I said, well, what I've experienced, and again, really trying to hone it on my experience, is that there are some people who believe that, but there's actually a diversity of points of view on this. And for what it's worth, for me sitting right here, here's how I think about this particular thing. And really bring it back to, here's me and here's you. We're the two people at the table talking about this right now, and try and center it back there. And that changed the dynamic of the conversation. Instead of us talking kind of randomly about sort of the whole world and what they do or don't think, we were talking about the people who are right there at the table, and that was a much healthier place for us.
If I want to learn more, where do I go?
Well, you can reach out to Danger Boat, the Humphrey School, and we do this kind of work on constructive dialogue. We've offered it as public workshops before. There's actually a video that I did not that long ago where we share some of these tips, including the magic words, I think, from improv that will make every conversation you have better, including this Thanksgiving. The magic improv words of yes and. Yes. We are so glad that you are here, and it is time to go and watch the football game. Whatever it is, yes and is the thing that transitions you from one thing to the next and keeps the conversation going in a positive way. So visit dangerboat.net, visit the Humphrey School. There's more stuff on all this there, and just try saying yes and to your family and friends this holiday season, and I think you're going to have better conversations.
Yes, and we want to hear from you, listener. Have you had a particularly constructive or a particularly not constructive conversation? Send us a text, leave us a voicemail on the CityCast Twin Cities hotline, 612-217-0637. You could hear your comments in one of our mailbag segments. There's more to discuss. Before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving cooking is not for everybody. Some folks just don't want their house to smell like Thanksgiving. There's also people who don't want to go through this life while sticking a meat thermometer deep into a turkey. And our producer, Tiffany, and I both have a deep love for Boston Market. Tiffany, I feel so much closer to you now that I know you also love Boston Market.
Yes.
Now, Tiffany, for folks who don't want to take that long of a road trip but don't want to eat in their homes, tell us about some options, please.
So huge thank you to the folks at MSP Meg who put together this great list. There's a few ways you can get a meal on Thanksgiving Day this week. So Stanley's Bar in Northeast, you can get a plate of turkey breast, mashed potatoes and gravy, stuffing, and rolls. It's $24 for adults, and for kids under 12, it's $12. That's 11 to 4 p.m.
Why only the breast? What happens to the rest of the turkey?
Ask Stanley. I don't really like turkey, so I feel like turkey breast is the best part, right?
No,
Oh,
incorrect,
no?
Tiffany. Sorry.
Sorry.
You're right to not really like turkey,
Yeah.
but you're wrong to think turkey breast is the right part.
Yeah,
It's a $24 Thanksgiving meal.
that's probably right.
So let's chillax. Over at St. Paul Grill, they are offering 3-course prix-fixe meals inside of the stunning St. Paul Hotel from 11 to 7 p.m. Adult pricing starts at $42.95. Kids, $21.95. You should make reservations because it's a prix-fixe meal. It's a little bit more pricey. I'm assuming they will give you more than the turkey breast.
The turkey will come out and introduce himself. Anyway, that's nice. St. Paul Grill, beautiful spot.
Yeah, this is something I spotted when I went inside the Wedge Co-op yesterday for one sweet potato. They are literally selling a plate, like a Thanksgiving plate. There's turkey, green beans, sweet potatoes, and cranberry, just like a very typical plate for $15. It is literally just a plate. Like if it's just you for Thanksgiving, you and somebody else, you guys could just go and grab a plate from the Wedge Co-op and you're good.
I will say, I actually did this one year. There was a bad snowstorm or something, and I couldn't get to the family that I was planning to on Thanksgiving. And I went to the Seward Co-op, and they had a plate like this, and I was able to have my own little Thanksgiving for just me, which, was actually delightful. It was kind of comforting and nice to still be able to do that for myself on that holiday. So I'm supportive of this one, whatever cut of turkey it ends up being.
Tiffany, I got my eyes on some of the buffet options you have laid out. Can you give me the details on those?
Yes. And also a Thanksgiving buffet is a freaking fantastic idea. I love
100%.
buffets. You're going to have to go to the suburbs for this one a little bit. So Kendall's Tavern and Chop House in Coon Rapids. The buffet is $44.95 for adults and $19.95 for children from 4 to 11 years. And kids under 3 eat free. Or if you have a particularly small child, you can see if they make the cut.
This is my 2-year-old that can read. Please give him free food.
My mom used to lie about how old I was at buffets. And in hindsight, I was too honest and really blew up her spot there. Pub 42 in New Hope, it's $34 for adults, $12 for kids 12 and under, and free for kids 6 and under. I did not know you could make reservations for a buffet, but MSP Meg is telling you should probably make reservations for Pub 42.
Then there's that sort of hybrid option, Tiffany, where you're not actually eating at someone else's place, but you're not doing the cooking yourself. This was my mom's special, going to Lund's, going to Cub Foods and other spots, and bringing home the Thanksgiving meal. What do you have for details on that?
This is a really good deal. Cub Foods is offering a full feast turkey meal, serves 10 people for $160. Wow. That's $16 a person. And there's also like smaller options for less people. They have a spiral ham dinner and specifically a turkey breast dinner. Sorry, you guys won't be getting one. You do have to heat it up. It comes cold, and you need to order at least 24 hours in advance.
Tiffany, another section of sort of Thanksgiving that's really important to talk about is where you can still access these meals for free. And there's some really special stuff that happens in our community. So there's a good resource and then also some details about different spots. What do you have for that?
Yeah, we'll link to places offering free meals or free groceries. It's a really hard time, especially with SNAP and that uncertainty. The community still really deserves nutritious and delicious food. I want to shout out Trickster Tacos and Stephen D's. These are food trucks that will be offering free food at the American Indian Center, and it sounds delicious. Highlights include you can get an open-faced turkey sandwich on fried bread or northern beans, and a berry salad with wajapi, Native American style berry sauce. That sounds so good. And then shout out to Hog's Breath Bar and Grill in St. Paul on Thanksgiving Day from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. They will also be offering a free meal.
We want to hear from you. Do you want to give some shout outs to different spots that offer up something special on Thanksgiving? Send us a text or leave us a voicemail, 612-217-0637. You might hear those comments in a future episode. There's more to discuss. Before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. This weekend, we lost a musical great. Talking about Jellybean Johnson, and you might have seen him behind the kit for The Time. He is the drummer for The Time. On top of that, he was responsible for Janet Jackson's tune Black Cat. He has a production credit on that and a co-writing credit, and he was instrumental in bringing the band Mint Condition to a national audience. And just what he does on stage alone would be enough to celebrate Jellybean after his passing. But he's missed more because of how supportive he was. He was somebody who came out to the shows, who checked in with people, who cheered people on, and he was just so important for the next generation. There's people who make their impact just in the studio and just on stage, and then there's people who actually get out there and put their arms around younger folks and make sure that they carry on these traditions, and that's who Jellybean was. When I was the music director and afternoon host at Jazz 88, I was lucky enough to have Jellybean in the studio, and he talked about why he stayed in the Twin Cities and also why he still made it out to play at jam sessions most nights of the week.
I owe my musical being to be here in Minnesota. People ask me all the time, Bean, how come you don't live in LA? All my peers pretty much are gone. They live in, and they used to ask this, so Bean, why you still stay? Well, because, I know it gets cold here and all that stuff, but this is, nobody has a music scene like us.
Bringing your guitar and hanging out with other musicians at these shows, what has you making that a part of your routine?
Well, it's just part of my musical, makeup, man. I have an infinite love for guitar and drums, music, and just music in general. And, with all the crazy stuff trying to going on in the world and stuff now, that music is the one thing that feeds my soul and that I enjoy totally and gives back to me as much as I put in. And so that's why you'll see me at the Blues Saloon. I'll come in there and stay for about an hour, and I'll play some Hendrix or some Chicago blues or whatever. And I'll endure some of the ones that can't play, and then I'll get my ass out.
I am so grateful that I got to see Jellybean Johnson play Little Wing many, many times at the Blue Saloon on Tuesday nights. We send love to the family, fans, and friends of Jellybean Johnson, and we thank him for his contributions to the world of music.
All right, let's get to the mailbag. We have a PSA from our boss, CityCast Chief Creative Officer Andy McDaniel, regarding something that happened to her in the past week.
Hey, Twin Cities team. I'm just calling to let you know about something that happened this morning. I tripped on a squirrel while I was running. I had always assumed that squirrels had this kind of supernatural ability to keep moving and get out of the way, but they don't. It turns out they don't. So I have a different perspective because now I understand that can happen, and I can no longer live in a world in which you can't actually trip on a squirrel. And by the way, this is Andy McDaniel, your boss. Okay, bye.
I live in a world where you can't trip on a squirrel. Do you live in that world, Tane?
Yeah, I have to be careful because Andy is our boss, but like, is this squirrel okay? Did anybody go
This squirrel has rabies.
Yeah, I was like, no, you don't trip on squirrels because they do move normally.
Is she going like Usain Bolt speed? This is the only thing I can imagine. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, that Andy, we're so glad you're okay, but I'm also worried you're not okay if you're running in such a way that you can trip on a squirrel. In other dangerous forms of transportation, Waymo is coming to the Twin Cities, and we already got some information from folks who have engaged with Waymos in the past. If you aren't familiar, these are autonomous vehicles, meaning no one is driving the car. We got a text from Roger, who took a Waymo in Los Angeles. He said it was amazing, and the wild thing was that about like 5 minutes into the ride, they forgot they were in a driverless car, which is hard for me to fathom. And also, John checked it out when he was in San Francisco, and it sort of threw him off at first, but he found it less terrifying than some of the Uber and Lyft rides he's been in over the years. And Jenny used a Waymo out in Phoenix, and she had a good experience. And apparently, they can already drive better than Minnesotans because they know how to zipper merge. He did say that the Waymo got a little jerky with the brakes, and then the display said, "Figuring this out," to which I would say, getting out of the car. If my Waymo said, "Figuring this out," goodbye, au revoir.
I want that as a bumper sticker for me, just like that's permanently on my car. I'm figuring this out.
We also had some folks like Sean and I that weren't all in on the idea yet. Ellen emailed in and said, "I would not ride in a Waymo, and I'm very concerned about their safety record with cyclists and pedestrians, and also taking jobs away from actual people." A big no from this resident. And then Jesse from Whittier called in and said he doesn't see himself taking Waymos personally, but he does think they're safer than human drivers. He also said he kind of sees them as more of a North Loop rich person thing. We also had a caller, we didn't catch their name, but they raised a lot of concerns about losing employment opportunities. But more importantly, she had something to say to Sean.
I just have less of a comment and more of an opportunity to make Sean McPherson feel old. Sorry about this, friends, but I was very grumpy about driverless cars until I realized that when cars first came into being, people called them horseless carriages. And I was like, oh yeah, if you think about it that way, like a driverless car sounds very old-fashioned. And I don't blame Councilman Chavez for being concerned about job displacement. I don't know, you guys. You can really, really go down a rabbit hole on this. But anyway, I'm really enjoying the show so much. I'm so glad it's here in the Twin Cities, and I look forward to listening every morning.
How old does she think that you are?
Yeah, you can't make me feel old. I am old. Like, I did your job for you. I am old, and you are just underlying it. Well, Tane, it's time for you to get back into your horseless carriage and drive to South Minneapolis from your rich person working space in the North Loop. Thank you so much for joining us on today's CityCast.
Hope everybody has a really good holiday.
Will you send me a picture of your purple cranberry sauce?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I'm going to work on that. No Photoshop.
Before we wrap up, we have a special segment from our partners at Xcel Energy. For nearly a century, the Hallie Q. Brown Community Center has been a cornerstone of St. Paul's Rondo community. It's one of the oldest African-American founded community centers in Minnesota.
Did you know that Hallie Q. Brown operates one of the most active food shelves in St. Paul, serving thousands of households every year?
That's actually something that Xcel Energy and Hallie Q. Brown share, that history of longevity and of impact.
The center is an Xcel Energy Foundation grant recipient, and it's a favorite volunteer opportunity for employees because there are many ways to get involved.
And Hallie Q. Brown certainly got involved last week. That's when they held their annual holiday meal distribution, ensuring that hundreds of families could celebrate the season.
There are plenty of ways you can provide support for the holidays and beyond. Their virtual food drive makes it easy to help stock the shelves and make a direct impact.
And if you haven't checked it out yet, it's really honestly similar to being on like a grocery store website. You pick out an item, maybe fresh fruit for $8 or a carton of eggs for $2. You click it and you're filling your virtual cart to make that donation.
Visit HallieQBrown.org to participate in the virtual food drive or explore volunteer opportunities for groups and individuals throughout the year.
HallieQBrown.org is HallieQBrown.org. That's all for today here on CityCast Twin Cities. I'm your host, Sean McPherson. Tane Danger, Dr. Katie Loth, Tiffany Bui, thanks for being here today. You can get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to the CityCast Twin Cities newsletter. If you enjoyed today's show, why not share this podcast with someone who thinks cranberry sauce is red? We'll see you back here tomorrow for more news from around the city.